Today I'm breaking down 6 red flags that indicate serious incompatibility or unhealthy patterns in relationships. These aren't minor personality quirks or superficial differences. These are fundamental issues that predict relationship failure and personal misery with near certainty. Red flag 1. Consistent lack of accountability. The first major red flag is when someone consistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions, mistakes, or their role in conflicts. Everything is always someone else's fault, circumstances beyond their control, or misunderstandings where they're the victim. Here's what this looks like in practice. Every story they tell about past relationships, friendships, or conflicts positions them as the innocent party who was wronged by someone else. Their ex was crazy, their boss was unfair, their friends betrayed them, their family doesn't understand them. There's always an external villain and never any acknowledgement of their own contribution to problems. The psychology behind this pattern is what's called external locus of control, the belief that your life is controlled by external forces rather than your own choices. People with this mindset never develop the self-awareness needed for healthy relationships because they genuinely don't see how their behavior affects outcomes. Why is this so toxic for relationships? Because eventually you will become the villain in their narrative. When conflicts arise in your relationship, they won't take responsibility for their part. Every disagreement becomes about what you did wrong, never about what they could do differently. You'll spend all your energy defending yourself against accusations instead of actually solving problems together. Watch for these specific patterns. During disagreements, they immediately deflect, blame, or make excuses rather than acknowledging any responsibility. When you try to discuss your feelings about their behavior, they turn it around to make you the problem. They have elaborate explanations for why every bad outcome in their life wasn't their fault. They never genuinely apologize, only non-apologies like "I'm sorry you felt that way" that subtly shift blame to you for having feelings. The crucial insight: 1 or 2 bad past relationships might be bad luck. But if their entire history is a parade of people who wronged them with no acknowledgement of their own patterns, the common denominator is them, not everyone else. Healthy people can acknowledge their role in past failures and relationships that ended amicably or lessons they learned from mistakes. Red flag 2. Chronic disrespect in communication. The second major red flag is consistent disrespect in how they communicate with you or talk about others. This includes contempt, mockery, dismissiveness, or treating people as beneath them. Here's what disrespect looks like. They regularly dismiss your thoughts, feelings, or opinions as wrong, stupid, or not worth considering. They mock you in front of others, making jokes at your expense disguised as playful teasing. They interrupt you constantly, talking over you as if what you're saying doesn't matter. They show contempt through eye-rolling, sarcastic responses or patronizing tones when you express yourself. But it's not just about how they treat you. Watch how they treat service workers, wait staff, or anyone they perceive as having lower status. Someone who is rude to servers, dismissive of retail workers, or generally contemptuous toward people they don't have to be nice to, is revealing their true character. How someone treats people who can't benefit them shows you who they really are. The psychology here often stems from insecurity masked as superiority. Some people elevate themselves by putting others down. Others learn disrespectful communication patterns from dysfunctional family dynamics and genuinely don't recognize how toxic their communication style is. Why is this relationship poison? Because respect is absolutely foundational to healthy partnership. Without mutual respect, love becomes hollow and meaningless. You can't build genuine intimacy with someone who treats you with contempt. And disrespect always escalates over time. What starts as occasional eye-rolling or dismissive comments gradually becomes a constant pattern of belittlement that erodes your self-worth. Red flag 3. Emotional volatility without self-management. The third red flag is extreme emotional volatility or mood instability without any effort towards self-management or awareness. We're not talking about normal human emotions or occasional bad days. We're talking about dramatic, unpredictable emotional swings that create constant chaos. Here's what this pattern looks like. Their mood can shift dramatically based on minor triggers. Things are great one moment, then something small happens, and suddenly they're furious, devastated, or completely shut down. You find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, carefully managing your behavior to avoid triggering emotional explosions. Their emotional reactions are disproportionate to situations. Minor inconveniences provoke major emotional meltdowns. The psychology behind this can stem from various sources: unresolved trauma, personality disorders, poor emotional regulation skills learned in childhood, or mental health issues that aren't being addressed. The specific cause matters less than whether they're actively working to manage it. Why is this so exhausting? Because you become responsible for managing their emotional state. Your entire relationship revolves around their unpredictable emotions. You spend all your energy trying to keep them stable instead of building something positive together. And you lose yourself in the process because all your attention goes to managing their emotional volatility. Watch for these patterns: frequent emotional crises that dominate your time and energy together, dramatic reactions to minor setbacks or disappointments, emotional intensity that feels overwhelming and constant rather than occasional, rapid cycling between idealization and devaluation of you or others, complete emotional shutdowns or explosions with little middle ground. But here's the crucial distinction: everyone has emotions and bad days. The difference is self-awareness and effort toward management. Someone who recognizes their emotional patterns, takes responsibility for them, and actively works to manage them through therapy, medication, coping strategies, or other methods is fundamentally different from someone who simply inflicts their emotional volatility on everyone around them. The key question: are they aware of the pattern and working on it, or are they expecting you to simply accommodate their emotional chaos as just how they are? Someone who says, "I know I have trouble regulating my emotions and I'm working with a therapist on it," is different from someone who says, "This is just who I am. Deal with it." Red flag 4. Financial irresponsibility and entitlement. The fourth red flag is chronic financial irresponsibility combined with expectations that others should subsidize their lifestyle or bail them out of consequences. Here's what this looks like. They consistently spend beyond their means with no real budget or financial discipline. They have debt they're not seriously addressing or constantly accumulating new debt. They always have financial emergencies that somehow become your problem to solve. They expect expensive dates, gifts, or lifestyle subsidies while contributing nothing financially themselves. The psychology behind financial irresponsibility often involves several factors: genuine financial illiteracy from never learning money management, poor impulse control and inability to delay gratification, or entitled mindset where they believe others should provide for their desired lifestyle while they spend their own money however they want. Why is this relationship poison? First, because financial stress is one of the leading causes of relationship conflict and breakdown. Second, because financial irresponsibility rarely exists in isolation. It typically reflects broader issues with responsibility, impulse control, and future planning. Third, because you'll end up carrying the financial burden of their poor choices. Watch for these specific patterns. Their lifestyle significantly exceeds their income with no acknowledgement of the problem. They're always broke despite having reasonable income, suggesting poor money management. They expect you to consistently pay for things or subsidize their lifestyle. They make impulsive, expensive purchases they can't afford. They have persistent financial stress, but make no real changes to address it. Also notice their attitude about money and financial responsibility. Do they feel entitled to a lifestyle they haven't earned? Do they view partners as financial resources? Do they take responsibility for their financial situation or blame external circumstances? Pay attention to how they handle splitting costs or financial contributions to the relationship. Someone who consistently forgets their wallet, expects you to cover expenses, or finds reasons why they shouldn't have to contribute financially is showing you their expectations for how the relationship will function. Red flag 5. Inability to maintain healthy boundaries. The fifth red flag is consistent inability or unwillingness to respect boundaries. Either they have none themselves or they routinely violate yours. Here's what boundary issues look like. They share extremely personal information way too early in getting to know you, creating uncomfortable over-intimacy. They expect immediate access to your life, time, and attention without appropriate relationship progression. They push back or get upset when you set reasonable boundaries about your time, privacy, or personal space. They involve you in their drama or problems at inappropriate levels for how long you've known each other. The psychology behind boundary issues often stems from poor modeling in childhood, anxiety about abandonment that makes them cling too tightly, or inability to differentiate where they end and others begin. Some people genuinely don't understand healthy boundaries because they never experienced them. Why is this so problematic? Because boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. Without them, relationships become enmeshed and suffocating rather than intimate and supportive. You need space to be yourself, maintain other relationships, and have autonomy. Someone who can't respect boundaries will gradually take over your entire life. Watch for these patterns. They text or call excessively early in dating, becoming upset if you don't respond immediately. They want to spend all their time with you immediately, before appropriate relationship foundation exists. They push for relationship escalation faster than is healthy, wanting to say, "I love you," meet family, or make long-term commitments before you've built sufficient foundation. They get upset, sulk, or punish you when you maintain boundaries about your time, privacy, or other relationships. Also notice whether they have any boundaries of their own. Someone with healthy boundaries can say no, protect their time and energy, and maintain their individual identity while being in relationship. Someone with poor boundaries either has none at all or has rigid walls that prevent genuine intimacy. Pay attention to how they react when you set boundaries. Healthy people might be disappointed, but will respect boundaries you set. Unhealthy people will argue with your boundaries, make you feel guilty for having them, ignore them, or punish you for setting them. Red flag 6. Persistent dishonesty or secrecy. The sixth and final red flag is a pattern of dishonesty, lies by omission, or excessive secrecy about basic aspects of their life. Here's what this looks like. They lie about small things where truth would be just as easy, suggesting dishonesty is habitual. You catch them in lies or inconsistencies in their stories. They're excessively secretive about basic information like where they're going, who they're with, or what they're doing. They have large portions of their life they keep completely separate from you for no clear reason. Their words and actions consistently don't match. The psychology behind persistent dishonesty varies. Some people lie habitually because they learned that truth brings punishment. Some lie because they're hiding things they know you wouldn't accept. Some lie because their actual life doesn't match the image they want to project. Some people are so uncomfortable with themselves that they create false personas. Why is this relationship poison? Because trust is foundational to everything else in relationships. Without trust, nothing else works. Not communication, not intimacy, not partnership. And once trust is broken repeatedly, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. You'll spend your relationship anxious, questioning everything, and unable to fully rely on someone whose words don't match reality. Watch for these patterns, catching them in lies about things large or small, stories that don't add up or change with retelling, excessive secrecy about phone, social media, or basic activities, deflecting or becoming defensive when asked straightforward questions, finding out major information about their life that they concealed, actions consistently contradicting their words. But make an important distinction. Privacy isn't the same as secrecy. Someone who maintains appropriate privacy about certain things while being transparent about their life overall is different from someone who's secretive about basic information or lies regularly. Also notice whether caught lies lead to accountability or more lies. When confronted about dishonesty, do they own it and commit to change? Or do they deny, minimize, create more lies to cover the first ones, or blame you for not trusting them? How to protect yourself. Address dishonesty directly the first time you catch it. I noticed this story changed from what you told me before. Honesty is non-negotiable for me in relationships. Can we talk about what happened? Their response is critical. If they acknowledge the lie, take responsibility, and genuinely commit to honesty going forward, that might be recoverable. But if they deny, make excuses, or you catch additional lies after addressing it, leave. Persistent dishonesty doesn't get better. It gets more elaborate and damaging. If this video helped you recognize red flags you've been missing or validated concerns you've had, hit that subscribe button and share this with people who need it. Drop a comment about your experiences. Hearing others' stories helps us all learn. Remember, being alone is better than being with someone who drains you. High standards aren't about being judgmental. They're about protecting your peace and creating space for genuine connection with someone capable of healthy partnership. Choose wisely. Your future self will thank you.